Breaking news! The Denver Broncos just made a move in free agency that is going under the radar, but trust me, it's worth paying attention to. A surprise signing that is already generating opinions among analysts and Broncos fans. I'll tell you all the details about it in a moment, but first I want to hear from you. Since when have you been a Denver Broncos fan? If you've been a fan for more than 15 years, hit the like button hard anyway. Comment like this: my heart is orange and blue. It's great to know that there are fans who actually follow the team, even in the off-season. Now, let's get to the point. The Broncos signed Sam Franklin Jr., a former Carolina Panthers safety, and the more you dig into this guy, the more you realize that Denver may have just snagged a gem, not for the defensive backfield per se, but for one of the most neglected and crucial units in football: special teams. Franklin's journey to this point is remarkable enough. He entered the league undrafted out of Temple, which is always a tough hill to climb, but he didn't just make it to training camp. He made the Panthers' 53-man roster as a rookie, a rare feat for any undrafted free agent. That alone should raise some eyebrows. Over the course of 5 seasons in Carolina, Franklin has developed into a leader, even becoming a team captain in 2024. Unfortunately, he missed some time last season due to a foot injury, which may explain why some fans hadn't heard his name before this signing. But make no mistake, he has some serious credentials and flashes under his belt. He's not just a rah-rah guy in the locker room. He brings heat on the field. One of his most electric moments? A 99-yard pick six in 2023. That kind of play shows you the kind of athleticism and game-changing ability Franklin can deliver. He's got 5 pass breakups and 3 tackles for loss in his career, but where he's really going to shine in Denver is on special teams. And here's where the real football heads lean in, because while casual fans might shrug at a special teams ace, those of us paying close attention know that third of the game can swing wins and losses. Special teams coordinator Darren Rizzi, who came over from the New Orleans Saints, is clearly putting his stamp on the unit, and Franklin fits his mold perfectly: high energy, tough, emotional, and experienced. This move speaks volumes about how seriously Denver is taking its third phase. Last year's special teams unit had its ups and downs, most infamously, the meltdown in Kansas City, but outside of that, it wasn't a disaster. Still, with both the coordinator and assistant coach from that group gone, a complete overhaul is underway. Franklin is expected to sign a 1-year deal worth around $3 to $4 million. Not a huge investment financially, but potentially a big one culturally. And just imagine week 1, Broncos versus Chiefs, and Franklin out there jawing at Patrick Mahomes. You don't think Broncos country would love that energy? This could be the kind of player fans fall in love with, not because he's putting up monster numbers, but because he's setting the tone, talking that talk, and backing it up with hustle. Now let's talk about what this means for the rest of the safety room. There's a bit of a logjam now, and it's hard to ignore what that says about Denver's faith, or lack thereof, in their depth. Names like Delaren Turner-Yell, J.L. Skinner, and Devin Key were mainly viewed as special teams contributors. Turner-Yell missed all of 2024 recovering from a torn ACL, which didn't help his case. Franklin's signing, along with the earlier addition of Talanoa of Hufanga, puts even more pressure on these young guys. And it puts P.J. Locke squarely on the hot seat. Locke has been a solid player at times, but when Denver backed up the Brinks truck to get Hufanga in, signing him to a $45 million contract, that spoke volumes. Now, with Franklin in the mix too, Locke's spot on the 53-man roster is far from guaranteed. It's shaping up to be Hufanga and Brandon Jones as the likely starters, with Franklin providing depth and special teams impact. That leaves Locke in a battle with the rest for what might be 1 or 2 final safety spots. Speaking of Hufanga, this was arguably Denver's most high-profile free agent acquisition. The former 49ers All-Pro is a potential game-changer in the backfield. In 2023, before tearing his ACL, he was on pace for another standout season, grabbing 3 interceptions in just 10 games. The injury history is a concern, but if he stays healthy, he brings a level of playmaking and ball-hawking the Broncos sorely need with the departure of Justin Simmons. Now, when you zoom out and look at this defense as a whole, it's easy to get excited. Up front, you've got a fearsome duo in Zach Allen and John Franklin Myers bringing heat off the edge, with DJ Jones plugging up the run. Malcolm Roach adds depth in the trenches, but with Allen and Franklin Myers both nearing the end of their deals, a defensive tackle in the draft wouldn't be a surprise. At linebacker, Denver added Dre Greenlaw, who'll pair with Alex Singleton, back from a torn ACL, and on the edges, Nick Benito and Jonathan Cooper return after posting double-digit sacks last season. Even the backups like Jonah Ellis and DeAndre Tillman, a UFFL product who went off for 4 sacks against the Bucs, look promising. This front 7 is built to get after quarterbacks in waves. The secondary? Pat Certain too is simply the best in the game, period. He's the reigning defensive player of the year and has made locking down receivers look routine. Jaquan McMillian is that gritty, pest-like presence that every offense hates facing, constantly creating chaos. Riley Moss, whose injury late last year was a bigger blow than many realized, showed how valuable he is when the Broncos rushed him back to action. So when you add that up, the established stars, the promising depth, and now a reinvigorated special teams unit, it's no wonder the grade for this defense is trending toward an A-. The only thing holding it back from a solid A? Health. If Greenlaw and Hufanga can stay on the field, this might be one of the most complete and dangerous units in the NFL. But enough from me, I want to hear from you. Broncos country, what do you think of the Sam Franklin signing? Does this move the needle for you on special teams? And how are you feeling about the safety room now with Franklin and Hufanga in the mix? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's keep this conversation rolling because there's more to unpack with how this signing reshapes the Broncos, and it's not just about depth charts. It's about mentality. When you add a guy like Sam Franklin, you're injecting the kind of toughness and attitude that starts to define your locker room. This isn't just another name on the back of a jersey. He's coming in with the grit of someone who clawed his way from undrafted free agent to team captain. Someone who's got a chip on his shoulder and fire in his game. And in a city like Denver, that blue-collar toughness doesn't go unnoticed. You can already feel the culture shift happening. Between Franklin, Hufanga, and Dre Greenlaw, there's a real edge starting to form in this defense. Hufanga brings a swagger rooted in all-pro credentials, while Greenlaw has long been one of the most underrated linebackers in the game, fast, instinctive, and a leader on and off the field. And now Franklin joins that mix as a tone setter on special teams, but don't be surprised if he gets some looks on defense too. He's shown flashes, and if injuries pop up, he's ready to step in and deliver. This is where Darren Rizzi's fingerprints are starting to show. Rizzi is one of the best special teams minds in the game, and Franklin is the kind of player he builds around, fast, fearless, and experienced. This isn't a splashy move that'll make headlines outside of Broncos country, but within the fan base, it should resonate, because for years, special teams has been an afterthought, serviceable, sure, but rarely a strength. Now it feels like that tide is turning, and with Franklin in the fold, it might actually become a weapon. Now, let's take a closer look at what this means for the guys who've been hanging around the bottom of the roster. Delaren Turner-Yell is one of the most interesting cases. He was solid on special teams 2 years ago, but that ACL injury in 2024 set him back. J.L. Skinner and Devin Key have yet to really make an impact. When Franklin was signed, it was a not-so-subtle message that these guys aren't locked into anything. They're going to have to earn their way back onto the roster, and that's a good thing. Competition breeds excellence, and right now, Denver's safety group is shaping up to be one of the most competitive battles of the summer. So here's where it all comes together. The Broncos aren't just adding players, they're building a new identity. Tough, smart, aggressive. Whether it's a star like Hufanga, a grinder like Franklin, or a sleeper like Tillman, the vision is clear. Depth, competition, and attitude. This defense isn't just about names, it's about culture. But let's throw it back to you again. Broncos country, are you buying in? Is this new wave of defenders, from Franklin to Greenlaw to Hufanga, enough to take the Broncos defense from anonymous crush to household name? And how would you grade this group right now? A-? A? Something lower? Sound off in the comments and let's keep the conversation going.